Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or whenever I might be in, and welcome back to another yearly dubbed upload, but now with a worse mic. So lately, if you've been paying attention to my channel or many other channels around YouTube, you've probably seen everyone talk about this new game called Wuthering Waves. Even though it's technically not new, but still. On my case, I've uploaded 2 hitless runs of world bosses that were 60 levels above my characters that you should definitely take a look at, and I'll leave them a link down below for them. But when it comes to other content creators, you've probably seen titles such as Wuthering Waves is amazing, but, or I love Wuthering Waves, but they need to fix this, and more and etc. These videos have been getting more common and been getting more attention, which brings me to this video's question: are content creators doom posting about Wuthering Waves? TLDR? Not really. But they've been doing something else instead, which is what I'm gonna get into. If you watch any of these videos, you'll see something in common with all of them, that being their progress into the game itself. A lot of these videos are being made with just few hours of gameplay without getting into the meat of the game itself. You could also say that's the point of criticism, that the game takes a while to get into the main part of it, but I feel like that's a more per person opinion than actual statement in this case. But let's get into what these videos actually say and dissect what they mean.
I fought like bigger enemies out in the open world, stuff like that. It seems too easy. I don't know if they did that just for the beta, if that's actually like final product. I don't know.
This is what a lot of videos are saying, and well, they couldn't be more wrong. If you look at what the bosses these content creators are fighting, they're literally talking about the first 2 bosses, in which in Wuthering Waves is Cromless and Scar. Both of these bosses are a complete joke in the story mode, and guess what? That's the point. You fight these bosses at level 1 and level 18. These bosses can reach up to level 120. If you were put on a mega difficult boss right away at the beginning of the game story, discounting Souls games because that's their whole point, it's gonna be gatekeeping a lot of players from accessing the main game. So of course they're gonna make those bosses easier in the story mode. If these content creators had just waited a tad bit and played a bit more, they'd encounter the much more challenging bosses, ranging from the red elites on the open world to the hologram challenges. These are the ones that truly test your skill, or if you're me, they test your patience, because I'm ass at the game. So to call boss content easy that early into the game feels like it's a misrepresentation of the game's actual bosses, and a bit of carelessness in my opinion for an honest review. This take is the most common one out there at the moment, and you mean to tell me that games that have the same genre, that being an open world RPG anime gacha game, are similar? No way! You gonna tell me next that lemons are copies of oranges because they're both citruses? No, of course you're not. Because at first, once you get into it, you might find familiar stuff such as the energy system, the gacha system, and etc. But the moment you get into the meat of the game, they function pretty differently. A good way to notice the difference is how both games treat their bosses, especially their open world bosses. When fighting, for example, the Pyro Regisvine, you know for sure you're not gonna get any rewards at all unless you spend resin. No matter what you do, you won't get any rewards from just killing it. While on Wuthering Waves, you can keep farming the bosses without having to spend a single point of Waveblade, which is the energy system of Wuthering Waves, by the way. I'm not saying that Wuthering Waves has infinite progression, because in the end, to improve the rewards that you get, you need to spend Waveblades. But at least in Wuthering Waves, it gives you a reason to interact with the world bosses, even if you don't have the Waveblades for the extra rewards. It's not a simple, spend energy, do dailies, and go next game. You can actually interact with the content outside of the energy system, which is amazing. Another take that I saw in the context of being a Genshin copy is that the UI is a carbon copy that of Genshin's. And to that I say, yeah, and what about it? It's like complaining that Battlefield and Call of Duty both have their weapons and ammo counters on the bottom right of the screen. It's not a question of copying it or not, it's a question of user experience. And if the UI designer saw that the Genshin UI user experience was great, why not use it? To be honest, I also have issues with the UI, but my issues are completely different. For example, I wish the UI was customizable, such as picking where icons are, how big and where is my HP bar, how zoomed in or out I want my minimap. Those things are actual proper feedbacks and possible complaints. But to say that the UI being a copy is an issue feels like a stretch. Luckily, this is the least common ones I've seen. The most prominent person I saw having this take was Tenha, a content creator with nearly 500k subs, that said this:
I would complain about the music like this, but the music in this game is too subtle, so it's really hard for me to notice the difference. You know, like, there are some catchy songs. When you hear it a couple of times, you should be able to memorize. Genshin Impact was like that. The reason why we love Genshin Impact is because they pay attention to every little detail. For example, down winery background music. We know that, right? The songs that we hear as soon as we enter Leeway, we remember that. In this game, I don't know. It's just my take. I'm not an artist. You know, I'm not a game designer, so I'm just sharing my thoughts.
The music in this game is too subtle. Well, is it though? That right there was Infernal Rider's boss theme. As you can see, it really isn't that subtle. But to give Tenha the benefit of the doubt, I'm assuming he meant the passive overworld songs, to which he says that the overworld songs in Genshin Impact are more recognizable, such as entering Liyue from Mondstadt or entering Dawn Winery. However, I feel like this isn't a fair comparison to the overworld songs in Wuthering Waves, because in Genshin he is comparing different regions or instance locations to Wuthering Waves zones. What I mean by this is that instead of expecting differences from Liyue to Mondstadt, he should be comparing it to Starfell Valley to Windwhale Highlands. And the reason I say this is because these parts make the same region. Therefore, they sound similar. They both have the flute on as the main theme, for example. This also applies to the Wuthering Waves as well. They make part of the same region, therefore it's expected for these to sound somewhat similar. By the way, me mentioning these and the secting doesn't mean Wuthering Waves doesn't have issues at all. That's not what I mean. I'll mention a few of the issues that I have at this very moment with the game. Waveblade costs are too high. While we do have a 240 Waveblades limit, the cost of every redeem is higher as well, so we still remain unfulfilled when it comes to direct Waveblades to rewards ratio. Another thing that I also have an issue with is the animation transitions during dialogue feel too keyframey. What I mean by this is if you pay attention to the animation while during a dialogue scene, you will notice a lot that you can see the transition points from an animation, making it seem not fluid and unnatural really. Another thing is ping isn't ideal. I have an amazing internet, and yet I can only play at 143 ms most of the time, and I'm on my European server. This might be a closed beta testing, but I'd like to mention it either way. Also, I've heard rumors that ping doesn't affect single player content, but this isn't confirmed, and sometimes it sure feels like ping has a lot of effects, such as parries being hit but still taking damage. But like I said, this might not be a ping thing, this might be a hitbox issue. But like I said before, I'm not here to chill on Wuthering Waves and call it the Genshin killer, much of the opposite. I want both of these games to be competitive with each other, because that's what a customer should want. A competitive market leads to improvement and better products for customers. And as someone that plays now both Genshin and Wuthering Waves, me saying that I want Wuthering Waves to kill Genshin is like wishing that one of my products gets worse for no real reason. Which sounds dumb when you put it like that, right? Also, these games have their own identity, IMO. They're distinct enough to both exist at the same market, which will lead to improvements. At least I hope so it will. But to wrap things up, content creators aren't exactly doomposting, but they sure are contributing to said doomposting by posting videos that lack a lot of information or straight up wrong information. But that's it for me. I know it's rare for me to post this kind of stuff here. To be honest, it's rare for me to upload overall. But if y'all like the video or not, feel free to leave a like or a dislike. Tell me if you think I'm right or wrong about what I said this video. Also, I stream both here on YouTube and on Twitch at twitch.tv/RayconPT, and I hope to see you on my streams. Anyways, hope you have a good one. Bye bye!